Hello, everyone. So our presentation is on the case study, Creating a Blue Ocean in the B2B Space. I'm Kimya, and my other group members include Aaron Tang, Christian Contreras, and Samantha Hines. So to start off, what is Salesforce.com? Now, this case study was written by Mi Ji and Ji Yun Lee, which are two INSEAD Blue Ocean Strategy Institute fellows. For starters, let's begin by understanding the company behind the study, which would be Salesforce, and their following website, salesforce.com. So ever since the early 2000s, when this company began, they have dominated the business world by creating the world's largest customer relationship management, or CRM, website labeled as salesforce.com, which CRM, as we all may know, enables businesses to manage interactions with consumers and sales prospects. Prior to the making of Salesforce.com, companies such as SAP, PeopleSoft, and Oracle were industry leaders in the CRM world with their traditional business models that they provided to users. However, these traditional CRM softwares needed sophisticated integration, complex requirements, time-consuming calls with tech experts for installation purposes, and etc. And additionally, these labor-intensive models left businesses with large purchase cycles and sales cycles, just to end up with the 40% chance that the CRM implementation will actually work efficiently as intended. Moreover, the total cost of owning a CRM application from these companies would exceed $1.8 million in the first year alone, and only for 200 users. In combat with these traditional CRM softwares, though, Salesforce stepped in with the motto, the end of software, and established their own CRM application, which could be accessed anywhere, at any time, and on any device. On top of this, they charge a low $65 per month subscription fee per user. This website is not only beneficial for large companies, but also enables small and medium-sized businesses to flourish with the affordable price set by Salesforce. By minimizing costs, maintenance, and just enabling the whole platform to be customizable based on the organization's needs, as well as just implementing other cloud-based applications, Salesforce grew immensely compared to its competitors in our ever-changing technological world. Now, to further continue analysis is Samantha.
Thank you, Kimia. Over the past 20 years, the digital world has taken over the world, and CRM is just another digital way of managing the customers, as Kimia mentioned earlier. CRM consists of all the strategies and the tools and technologies that we use by organizations to improve their customer outreach and their customer relations. So before Salesforce had made any great or large decisions, it had to ask itself this question: what was unique? I'm sorry, not that one. It had to ask this question: who are we creating value for? What are our most important customers? And what differentiates our customer segments? They also had to ask, what opportunities are there to reach new segments? So Salesforce was clearly a leader in the CRM industry post-pandemic. In 2019, it accounted for 19.5% of the CRM market worldwide. And by the end of 2021, it increased its market share an additional 18%. So it doubled above its competitors. And so Salesforce, like Kimia mentioned, was founded in 1999. So it had a running start, and it was founded by, some gentlemen that worked for Oracle. They were Oracle executives. And so these two executives, there's these two executives, actually three of them, Parker Harris and Dave Molinoff and Frank Dominguez, brought this software to the industry. And I'm assuming that when you work for a large corporation and you have a board and directors and things like that, and you want to branch out on your own or do something different, you just basically have to leave the company in order to utilize your creativity and your ideas. So backed by two of in the industry's most innovative developers was Larry Ellison, American businessman. And they considered him to be an industry magnate and an investor who was a co-founder of other tech companies, and also Halsey Minor, a digital media pioneer known for the starting of CNET. So when you have backing and this type of knowledge and intelligence, you're bound to, have some sort of foothold on the industry. And so with that, in 2009, they were launching their cloud-based application, which made it even more versatile for companies to manage their customer service. And in 2014, they launched a free online training called Trailhead platform to help their customers learn the software, learn the features, and all the tools that they need to manage their software and their customers. While their competitors, next slide, please, Zoho, I'm sorry, in 2005 was just releasing its CRM. It was an Indian-based company that started, back in 2000, I think early 2000s as well, but it wasn't a CRM company until 2005. And with Insightly was announced its partnership with cloud-based, that was in 2015. So it's obvious to see that these companies were slow moving and that Salesforce had a better competitive edge on the other companies. And so Salesforce customer relationship service provider was their edge, because they started off doing that from the very, very beginning. And they weren't a software company that was invented as a one thing and then changed to another, like many of these other companies were. And now I'm going to transfer over to Christian, who will continue the analysis.
All right, good afternoon, class. So right here, I'm going to continue talking about the analysis section and just continue more about what Samantha did a little bit in depth. So right here in this picture, it's pretty much just represents the value innovation. As you can see, it compares, it has a formula and it gives you how value is kind of created through the simultaneous pursuit of differentiation and low cost. And this is pretty much exactly what Salesforce did to become a leader in the CRM industry. Just some things that they did that people have mentioned already in our group is that they transferred to cloud-based computing. They pretty much made all their services available via the internet, and you would access it through a .com website. And it pretty much eliminated all the need for having a lot of more hardware and the infrastructure on the company's side, and you would access it through Salesforce's side. They also created value through innovation by creating a monthly subscription plan, which was very important because high cost was a very big deterrent for consumers. They were paying extremely high prices for Salesforce products. Oh, they were paying very high prices for other competitors' products, traditional enterprise vendors who were licensing their software, and it pretty much, there was no guarantee in the software they were getting that it would function and complete business purposes that they're intended it to do. And more innovation was done through accessing Salesforce to any device. You could be on your phone, a laptop, anywhere else in the world. You wouldn't have to be in the office accessing it. So you can go to the next slide. Okay, so I'm going to continue my analysis by beginning with the overall philosophy that Salesforce did that pretty much separated them from other competitors, in my opinion, or in our group's opinion, and made them a leader in the industry. So after reading this case, a key factor to analyze is the philosophy, and they strategically chose efforts to dominate on-demand market within CRM. And it was pretty much fair to say that Salesforce ultimately aimed to provide superior value to their customers at considerably lower prices, lower and affordable prices to business organizations. The creators of Salesforce was a group of 10 people that started with a small investment of about $2 million, and they pretty much understood that the CRM market had unlimited potential, but that the technology and products provided by competitors was not meeting basic consumer needs like at all. They were struggling immensely. So they pretty much wanted to focus on the technology fitting these consumer needs. They own 19.8. Salesforce currently owns 19.8% of the application CRM application market share, and employ the blue ocean strategy, which can be attributed to their philosophy of how to market and offer their products to consumers. The COO of Salesforce even said that they make their technology fit their business and not the business fit their technology, which is pretty important and was a great thing to separate them. And we could also interpret that in this case study that Salesforce was not really, at the start, they weren't really focused on immediate or guaranteed profits, but rather on eliminating the burden placed on consumers by these traditional software vendors. So you go to the next slide. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the analysis in regards to Salesforce's ability to adapt their strategic perspective and always be changing. Salesforce was a very flexible company, and it was strived at making quick decisions to adapt to the changing market needs and stay ahead of their competitors. One of the most important things that they did was they encouraged custom-built programs, which was something that when competitors like SAP, Oracle, and PeopleSoft joined into the market, they were actually discouraging this. So Salesforce kind of did the exact opposite, actually, and they encouraged customer-built programs. The first program that they introduced was Force.com, and Force.com is pretty much a tool that allows cloud application development, where external developers can develop applications for any business need that a company may have, and they pretty much host it on Salesforce's online infrastructure. This push to strategically encourage customization and meet consumer needs was furthered more through AppExchange. But before that, I just want to continue on Force.com. They pretty much just allowed anybody to develop programs and applications on Salesforce to meet consumer needs. So it could be just a single software developer that has the abilities to create an application, but they also allowed a big renowned companies like IBM, Microsoft, and TIBCO to participate in application developments. And this was very attractive to consumers because they're pretty much not just getting expertise from Salesforce, but from other great companies in the tech industry. So the next things that they introduced was AppExchange, and AppExchange pretty much allowed consumers to find applications on Salesforce that other people have created on Force.com. So I pretty much took all the applications Force.com made and put it on like a trading site on AppExchange, where they could pick and choose what they wanted. They could get free test runs, or they could even request developers to build custom applications for them. And so we think that these two things were very important to customization, customer feedback, and innovation, which are completely necessary in the CRM market today, according to data. And also according to data, 71% of Salesforce customers use AppExchange, which further proves the importance of customization and customer feedback. Go to the next slide. So this is just one continuation on Force.com. And they also introduced a feature called Chatter, which was pretty much, it was like a social networking on Salesforce's side. And it allowed users to pretty much collaborate on projects and communicate in real time. And it helps the issue of failed integration in traditional CRM markets, because normally it would be individual departments that would purchase CRM products, and it would fail to integrate with other departments in the company, and Chatter allows this to happen. So you go to the next slide. And so I'm going to pass it on to Aaron to do the recommendations.
Thanks, Christian. So we recommend that Salesforce invest in simpler coding systems to allow their users to use their product easily and conveniently. With their current growth of technology and e-commerce, Salesforce should prioritize their coding to ensure long-term growth. In addition to this, we also recommend that Salesforce looks to increase their exposure by purchasing and unifying the smaller companies that are still growing. Salesforce acquired Slack on July 21, 2021. Slack connects employees, partners, and customers together on a single platform. This makes it convenient for these types of people to interact with one another. Salesforce has also been doing a great job with its research and development team. They have been producing new services that have been well received by businesses and have increased profits and productivity. In 2009, Salesforce moved to the cloud, which allowed for salespeople to sell faster and smarter. They were given the ability to manage accounts conveniently in one place, which had a positive impact on their productivity. In 2015, Salesforce launched Lightning CRM. Salesforce Lightning is a component-based framework that showcased a new convenient design. Salesforce Lightning came with more productive tools that allow business users who do not have programming experience to use it. With Salesforce Lightning, the company saw an increase in sales rep productivity and has driven sales. Salesforce should continue to be innovative and research and develop new applications that will improve users' interaction and satisfaction. And lastly, we recommend that Salesforce prioritize revenue growth over profits. By prioritizing revenue growth over profits, Salesforce should look for things that will have long-term benefits instead of short-term ones. A company as big and successful as Salesforce does not need to worry about immediate profits, but should look towards their growth and progression over the next several years. Next slide. And next, I'll pass it back to Christian, who will discuss more about the recommendations.
Yeah, so I'm just going to pretty much finish the recommendations that we came up with for Salesforce. I'm going to touch on a little bit more what Aaron said earlier, where they pretty much make strategic alliances and acquisitions with companies. We recommend they should do this despite being a leader of their industry and controlling the largest market share, because there's always room to grow and stay ahead of the competition. So we recommend that they create strategic alliances with other companies, because this will allow them to provide smarter and more collaborative experiences to their customers. And this can be seen through making strategic partnerships with Google Analytics 360 and G Suite, just some of the most recent things they've done. And also strategic acquisitions is a big thing for them. As of 2020, Salesforce had acquired 69 companies, one of them being Slack. And when they're able to acquire these other companies, they're able to expand their sources and channels of customer acquisition, and it also increases the flows of revenue to their company. And when they have more companies under their umbrella, they can focus more on their own internal efforts, and they could focus on what they're good at and strive at within Salesforce, and they could pretty much let these other companies operate almost independently and continue to do what they're good at while also providing revenue to Salesforce. But with this being said, we also recommend that they need to monitor and watch these acquired companies from a distance. A good example of this, of an instance where they did not do this, where they kind of overstepped their reach, was with MuleSoft. MuleSoft is the company that provides integration software for connecting applications, data, and devices through APIs. And it was purchased for $5.6 billion in 2018, but it started to take a dip after Salesforce took control of them, and they pretty much took over the hiring process for MuleSoft. And MuleSoft lost a lot of their good employees, and they were experiencing tough time recruiting people and a diminishing talent pool. So this is just an example of ways that Salesforce struggled by overstepping with their power, and they should have pretty much allowed MuleSoft to operate autonomously, because they were in a more complex corner in the enterprise technology section, and they should have used their own expertise to continue. So next slide. You go to the next slide, Kimmy. Yeah, thanks. And so lastly, we just recommend that they expand to emerging markets. Salesforce has their biggest markets in the Americas and Europe's regions, generating 14.74 billion and 4.5 billion from each of these areas respectively. So we recommend that they go to the Asian Pacific areas because this area is booming due to the strong retail industries that they have over here. And there's an increasing amount of small organizations up to large corporations that are in need of CRM. And we also recommend that they expand to the Middle East and Africa because these regions are starting to come up and keep at pace with the technology as the rest of the world, and they're starting to digitalize everything. So this can be a great opportunity for Salesforce to expand their market. And I think that is pretty much it. Go to the next slide. Yeah, that's it for our project, professor and class. We hope you guys enjoyed it and learned a little bit more about Salesforce.